Hey everybody, how's everyone doing? I'm Damian Kurowski here from overundertalk.com, and I'm joined tonight by Jake Nichols aka Tachyon and Trent Arnold aka Trent Arnold NBA to talk about tomorrow's best plays on Moneyball and DFS. How are you doing today, Jake?
I'm going alright. I had a pretty successful day on Moneyball today. I cashed pretty easily in the double up thanks to a slight alteration of our team. How did you guys perform today on Moneyball?
Yeah, I was really good as well. Actually, I thought I was going to win the double up. I thought I was going to come first. Ended up with 312 points, and that was almost 50 over cash, or where the cash mark was, which was about 267, so about 45 over. So that was an easy cash today, which was really good.
Yeah, I played our team that we made yesterday. I played it verbatim, and we scored 290.9, which is about 25 points above the cash mark. So very
easy
successful.
money.
Yeah. We hope that you guys had some of those picks as well and found some success. So also, let's quickly, I don't know if you have any wrap on the Thursday Monster today?
Yeah, I do. So we can have a look at the Thursday Monster results, and a bloke by the name of Big Buck Hunter took out the main prize. It's $1,350 first prize as always. He scored a whopping, I like the word whopping, 354.4.
Yeah, that's a good score.
Some big selections, and obviously he had the top scorer of the day, Clay Thompson, who was owned by only 8.6% of the competition.
We didn't really consider him, did we? No.
I didn't really talk about him. I went under the radar, and that's what we've got to take if you want to go and take out a tournament,
Did
right?
he play Kevin Love?
He played Kevin Love as well. Had a slight dip at Aldridge in there as well, which
He was good.
Aldridge and Danny Green normally kill the Rockets, and
Yeah.
I was thinking about it, but
Yeah.
I just couldn't think it could keep up.
And Danny Green, I know I was watching early and I turned it off obviously because the Rockets were getting killed, but he hit 3 or 4 threes really early and I was like, oh no, this is Danny Green.
Happens every time.
Yeah,
He's having
it
the
does.
career worst shooting season, and somehow comes out and smashes
Does it to
us
the
all the
Rockets?
time.
Yeah. So I don't know if you have it with you, but what about the over/under $2 tournament that we
Oh,
ran?
well, I was a bit unhappy about this. I was sitting in first place the whole day and I got just knocked out of the cash. I fell in 4th spot. Over to Team KB, who took out the top score with 325. If you guys had joined, you might have cashed in that one pretty easily, it looks like.
Yeah.
Should have joined.
Yeah.
So
nice
third
like
place,
that.
the cash line was 286 there in a tournament, which is pretty good effort. Well done to Team KB.
Yep. All right then. So without further ado, we might as well get cracking straight into our first game. I mean, there's only 6 on, so this could turn out to be a very, very short video. We don't know at this point.
Short and sweet, hopefully.
Yep. Get everything in wherever we can. So first up, we have Washington versus Denver. Do you want to give some info on the odds there, Jake?
Yeah, for sure. So the Wizards are favoured by 6.5 points against Denver here. The Wizards are at home. Over under 210. Just a pretty standard game, pretty standard Nuggets game, and some of the Wizards might be in play here, and a couple sneaky Nuggets players as well. Looks like a good fantasy game.
Yeah. Do you want to kick us off, maybe, Trent?
There's a few that I like. Jan Mahimi is starting tomorrow, which does drop the value of Miles Turner, but I still like Turner in the form that he's been in. Really good young player, and I think he's better than Jan Mahimi anyway, so I'm not sure why he wouldn't play more minutes. And that's a really good cheap option to start with. I think if you're going to look to build a cheap option at centre, I like that one.
Yeah, Mahini. Let's
No,
Miles
Miles
Turner.
Turner.
Yeah.
Turner.
All right. So we should probably chuck him in just straight up.
Oh wait,
He's in centre.
I mean,
we're in Washington.
yeah, that's the
Denver,
first
mate.
game. Yeah, you're talking about.
Oh, sorry. Sorry guys, I had
I'm here trying to
Mel
look
order.
at stats. Alright, yeah,
Sorry, I was switching
getting
up
a
too.
little confused there. So we'll jump into Washington Denver. I'll take over, Trent. I'll start.
Apologies guys,
Oh,
apologies.
So I'm going to start us off with my favourite player. I'm a Nuggets fan, as you can probably tell, and my favourite player right here. Also, you might have noticed us wearing jerseys. That's because today is Jersey Day. Thursday is no longer, coined as of about 25 minutes ago. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So my first play of the day is Danilo Gallinari. Had a good game today against the Celtics. Went for around about the 32 mark, which was a shade under 5 times value. But tomorrow he cops the best matchup in the game for small forwards with the Washington Wizards, who are just leaky to that position. And yeah, if we look at this, he's had some down games, but I mean, he's so highly used in the Denver offense. It's just I don't think these reflect his general game performances. These are when he just struggles to score from the field. But he also gets to the line fourth most in the league, behind two of your boys, Jimmy and DeMarcus.
They play hard.
But yeah, fourth in the league at getting the line, and I think he's probably in one of the best situations tomorrow. So he'll be in my team without doubt. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I like that sort of safety blanket at the small forward spot when you pay about the $7,000 and you're going to get a guy that can score pretty well. We tried it yesterday with Kawhi Leonard, but it didn't work out too well for us, sadly.
Who knew the Rockets would just get blown out like that? We thought it might be an easy win, but 31 points. That was a big shock.
But that's okay. I like Danilo Gallinari in this spot especially. One that I want to jump in and talk about very quickly is Nene, who is playing pretty good basketball of late. He's priced at only $3,600, and he's averaged 20 points over his last 5 games. So he's definitely worthy of some consideration if you want to bargain power forward. He has a pretty good floor for that kind of price. He doesn't go below 15, it looks like.
Yeah, I was a big fan of him when he first came back from his injury, and he was priced at 3.5, and I don't think the 300 price increase is enough to take him out of consideration just yet. So especially in a matchup, Denver are a little bit on the worst side of average against power forwards, so it's certainly favourable for him there. Chuck him straight in for now.
Yeah, I definitely like your Gallo pick. That's one that I'll almost definitely be running with that one, and I'd especially run with it in a tournament. I like him at his price because he's got the potential to go for 50. Really boom kind of player. But there's also a few other guys that I like in this matchup, and we spoke about it last night. It was the matchup for the Denver Nuggets at point guard, and we've got John Wall, who hasn't been in the greatest of form, but is this the game that could spark him back into action? The Nuggets have been giving up about 50 points, I think, per game to fantasy scores for point guard, so I think that John Wall could jump into action in this one.
Yeah, and we all know that when he performs, when he goes hard. Look at this pearl right here with the 73.9. But, I mean, I think there might be better options at point guard, but I would not be surprised to see John Wall get a fair bit of run tomorrow just because the matchup is favourable, and 6 game slate, there's always going to be someone playing everyone, so, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough to pay $10,000 or more and get a guy in who's pumped out a lot of 30s recently. I really struggle to do that. If I'm paying for a guy at that price, I really want a strong performer. And I don't think John Wall, even in this matchup, has given me enough reason to pick him. At 9K, I would happily pick him, but there's that little gap in between that $1,000 range there where I'm just not going to consider him tomorrow, I think. Moving on, there's one more player I want to mention in this game quickly as well, is Mason Guttart, the centre for the Wizards, who has been playing some very good basketball lately and always sneaks under people's radars.
Yeah, the Polish Hammer, he's one of my favourite players in the league, not taking fantasy into consideration. It just kind of also helps that he's been a bit of a stud in recent times for his price. I mean, he's gone up to, I think, about where he should be, but at one point he was a little bit under 6K and putting up 30s just left, right and centre. But yeah, I'm a big fan of that player.
Yeah, I think with Gortat, a lot of that relies on John Wall though, because he gets a lot of his buckets from John Wall and sort of pick and rolls and pick and pops. And like I said, I was projecting a pretty good game for John Wall, which I think also comes into Gortat. And a lot of the time I play them two together because I notice if John Wall has a good game, so does the big man in the middle. So
yeah.
Another sneaky option as well. Just having a look over this game. Otto Porter has had his minutes restriction lifted. He had 35 minutes today, yesterday against the Raptors, sorry. And he's been scoring pretty well, and we know he's had some great fantasy games this season. The game before that, he only managed 29 minutes, and he had a 4-game break before that one. So he's definitely in play tomorrow as well, I think, at a pretty reasonable price for Otto Porter.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm locking in Gallo, so that restricts my options there. But he is a good player. I just think there might be better ones out there. But you're right, the minutes restriction being lifted is huge because we know what he was doing before he went out. So
yeah, that really good stretch there. You can see it there, 36, 32, and then 46. So that's a really good stretch, and you're hoping that's what he's going to jump back into now. The minutes restriction's gone.
Spot on. All right then, let's have have a quick move on to the next game then.
So
The
Trent,
one
Would that be the Indiana,
kick us off.
Indiana game?
This
Oh,
would be the one you thought we were starting on. But yeah, let's jump in with the odds first if you've got them there for us.
For sure. So this one here, we got the Pacers favoured by 3 points against the Hawks at home. Over under a pretty reasonable 202. Nothing too exciting there. Any big outs for this game tomorrow, guys? Or
I haven't had a chance to look myself.
there doesn't seem to be any listed.
Yeah.
There's Rodney Stuckey. That's not too impactful.
yeah,
I mean, like I
it
said
looks like
before,
a clean roster for both
Yeah.
teams here.
like I said before, the main impact there is probably going to be Jan Mahimi being back in, and that does sort of limit the impact of Miles Turner, and his price has gone up, but we have a look at his form, and if he plays his 25-30 minutes, he should pump out a pretty good score, I would think.
Yeah. That's just such a consistent performance there from someone around his salary. I mean, when you're paying that much and you're getting like a floor of 4 times value,
Yeah.
and even higher than that, I think he's certainly worth a play. But it just depends. You're right. How much Mahinmi will affect his his
that could
performance.
impact it. And I would play him, but I do feel like there's a better option later.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh.
yeah.
For
Ooh.
the time being, would you play him over Gottard?
No.
You wouldn't. Okay.
No.
What are your thoughts?
Nah, I wouldn't either.
it's Gottard.
Gottard's a very safe pick. Every time he's playing, I really consider him because you know what you're going to get when you play him.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. Another play that I like tomorrow is Paul George. One of the
Got to bring you up.
One of the
Same.
elites that I actually trust tomorrow is Paul George. He's had 2 excellent games in a row, and his price has come down enough. I think he's falling into the Carmelo Anthony situation. Carmelo Anthony's price came down so far, and Paul George is doing the same. He's been in a bit of a free fall since he's been putting up like a few like duds here and there. I mean, I wouldn't call the 30s a dud, but the 29s and the 19s. So where he started the season really strong and just built his salary up and up and up, it's finally come down to where everyone's going to be playing him in a game like tomorrow. And he'll be probably the one I pair with Danilo Gallinari tomorrow.
And I'll jump in quickly. The reason why I really like Paul George tomorrow is that they're playing at home and they're playing a playoff contender in the Hawks. So it's going to be a great competitive game, and he's going to get heaps of minutes and probably plenty of hero ball opportunities as well, I believe.
All he can handle. They'll just chuck the team on his shoulders tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, I think that small forward combination of George and Danilo there is perfect for a tournament, especially because that's got so much boom potential. I mean, both of those guys I think could go for 50 or 60. I mean, Paul George at 880 is perfect for a tournament because it's not putting in the 10,800 or the 11,000 you do for some elite options, but he's got just as much upside.
Yeah.
So perfect play there.
Yeah, perfect play, I agree.
Do we like him over Otto Porter? I think it'll be unanimous across the board.
Straight in. Straight up.
Just the toss-up between Otto and Paul. It's a whitewash. Alright, so did anyone else have any other plays in this game? I wasn't a particularly big fan of anything.
There's nothing else that really stands out to me.
No, I mean, one of my favourite players in fantasy is Paul Millsap, but he let me down a little bit today and his price went up another 100. I just don't think there's anything else really here.
I don't think there's enough upside there, I don't think, for him at his price now.
No.
But
I don't think upside's his game.
No, it is consistency.
Consistency is his game, and he's been good at that. Even when he had a bit of a struggle streak today, he put up a 38, which wasn't what I was after, but it was enough. I still cashed.
I think that's what you're looking at most of the times when you play him. But at the moment at 9-4, 38's not always going to cut it for you.
Exactly.
No, especially in a tough matchup. Indiana defend against power forwards really well.
Yeah. Alright, so I think that's all to be found there, and the next one is going to be a huge one.
Yep,
It's,
love this game.
Yeah, it's the New Orleans Pelicans facing the Sacramento Kings.
So I'd say this will be even bigger if Anthony Davis plays or is going to play. We're not sure what the verdict is there yet, and that's going to have a lot of, I guess, impact on whether the players that we choose from this game tomorrow. So the line here, the Kings away are favoured by 2.5 points. And so they should be. They've been playing excellent basketball recently.
Yeah, I would say for Anthony Davis there, he's suffered a concussion, and with the concussion rules that are in the NBA right now, you wouldn't be coming back within a day or two. So I would almost say he's 99% out. So it says game time decision, but I would say that with the concussion laws right now, it's usually at least a week, I think. So I don't think he'd be coming back.
Yeah, he's been given the doubtful tag, so...
Any comments on the whack that he copped, Trent?
He should have got back up and kept playing, in my opinion. But
looked a bit soft, but that's all right. If he is named as suffered from a concussion,
as
so
the
looked a bit soft though.
As the Rockets commentator said, he might have needed a confusion test. So,
So Anthony Davis sitting. What does that mean? Pretty obvious.
Big
Ryan
things.
Anderson steps straight into the starting lineup and will be pretty much an automatic play for a lot of people tomorrow,
he should be a fantastic
myself
player.
included. Sacramento as a matchup is good enough, but I think this situation is really about the opportunity,
And I
and
think-
that's exactly what he's
I
got
think
here.
the one thing for Anderson as well is, like, Sacramento seems like a pretty decent matchup, but it is Boogie and Willie Cauley-Stein who are both in the paint big men,
Yep.
and he's not really near the paint big man. He's he hits threes as a stretch four. So Boogie
Nine
and
over
Willie
last
Cauley-Stein, I mean, Cauley-Stein closes out pretty well, but he's also chasing around trying to make up for everyone else's mistakes, so he should get a few good open looks tomorrow, I think, for Anderson, so he should have a big game.
So I'm going to hit back at you a little bit here, just because I want some insight, because I was debating this myself and I thought I'd save it for the stream. Does Ryan Anderson get in foul trouble against DeMarcus tomorrow? We all know DeMarcus gets fouled plenty. Ryan Anderson has to defend DeMarcus Cousins, the most informed player in the NBA right now.
I would say that if it were me, I would put Omar Ashik or Agenta on Cousins, and I would play Anderson on Willie Cauley-Stein, even though that's a mismatch there. But I think he's just going to do better to keep Willie Cauley-Stein off the boards rather than trying to defend Marcus one-on-one in the post.
I think that works as well because Willie Cauley-Stein isn't really an offensive threat.
No, it's just
So,
a
yeah.
lob catcher.
Exactly, so I think that's what they should do and probably what they will do.
But on that track, I do like Willie Cauley-Stein tomorrow against a team that doesn't fend well against power forwards or centres, and that's with Anthony Davis. So without him, I think these guys are going to give up a lot of points to Boogie and Willie Cauley-Stein.
Yeah,
I would
and
play both.
once again, the price tag for Willie Cauley-Stein, $3,900, which means he has gone up, but he's only gone up $400.
Not enough.
And look at these little numbers
Yeah,
right here. That's
excellent.
not enough of a price rise to take him out of consideration. And not even out of consideration, he's a sure thing tomorrow.
Yeah, he's my play at centre. I'll lock him in.
Yeah. What about you? You were the one to suggest Marcin Gortat, Jake. What are your thoughts on that? Actually, I think Trent did, but you backed him up. So do you think Cauley-Stein?
Yeah, of course.
Gortat?
I think
Price.
he's one of the best value plays of
He's
the
a
slate
value,
tomorrow.
yeah. But do you go up to Gortat if you have the salary left?
Yeah, I would. Possibly. No, let's keep him in. I think he's the value play tomorrow, I think.
I think
Cauley-Stein.
that I'd play him.
Alright. I'm playing.
I'd use my salary
It's tough
elsewhere, I
not to.
believe.
Yeah, but once we get down to like the business end of things, finding where to put the salary is going to be the hard thing because a 6-game slate doesn't offer a lot of options for that, and that's why I think Gortat is more in play, like than I first said.
So we mentioned Boogie, though. Do we
Yep.
lock him straight in over Nene there? Or
This is the big one because
DeMarcus Cousins
it's
is
a lot
playing,
of salary.
so lock him in.
I was going to say,
Really?
if we're a little bit torn, I do have some stats. So this is Davis against the Pelicans last season.
Boogie against the Pelicans.
Boogie against the Pelicans, Boogie against Davis. 32 points, 12 rebounds. This is this season. 32 points, 12 rebounds and an assist. And then last season, I believe it was through 4 games. 28 points, 18 rebounds and 6 assists. That's what he averaged against the Pelicans. So he does like this matchup.
He plays him pretty well.
Yep.
He plays most teams pretty well, but yeah, I think that one's just going to come down to salary. I personally won't be playing him, but we'll save that one for later.
I like the idea of playing him because I think a lot of people are going to be scared off by that last game, right?
That's true.
You look at the game, like you said, 27, and you're paying 11k. Some people are going to be too scared to play him again.
I'm not scared off by the last game. I'm scared off by the 11,600 salaries
That is
come
scary.
along with that.
You know why? Then because you're an expert DFS player. There's not many out there.
Another play in this game. He should be very widely played tomorrow, and he will be in my lineup.
Drew
Holiday, Drew Detective. He's been like on a roll recently, and big game coming off a big game recently. 54.7, where he came out with 9 assists, 6 rebounds to go with 34 points, I believe. But yeah, he's still priced so low, and with Tyreek Evans as a game time decision, Drew Holiday might just be running that offense, especially with Anthony Davis out now, who rocks a usage rate of almost 30. So Drew Holiday will have the ball in his hands a lot at the start and at the end of possessions, so he will be definitely in my team and a lot of other teams tomorrow. Anyone else got some thoughts?
Yeah, well, normally when Anthony Davis is missing, I jump on Eric Gordon, who isn't playing at the moment. So
There you go.
there's lots of shots tomorrow to be had from these guys at the Pelicans. Drew Holiday loves taking a shot, right?
Even Norris Cole, who's starting there, that's an option you can go with.
I also like Norris.
And Tyreek Evans, it's said that he's come back clear on an MRI on his knee and he's dealing with tendonitis, so I'm not exactly sure what that means for his minutes or if he's going to play. I assume that he's just going to work through the tendonitis, but if he's not feeling at his best, maybe that means that Drew Holiday and Norris Cole take on a little bit more of that responsibility with Evans not feeling 100%.
Yeah, and once again, this is just another situation of a good matchup. I mean, the Kings don't defend any position fantasy-wise particularly well. But yes, 6th worst in the league as far as point guards go on the season. So are we chucking him in? This is you two as well. Because I'm chucking him in.
I actually did consider him.
The reason why he's joined in my team is because he's been a fairly safe pick lately.
Yeah.
He's only had one score under 33 in his last 6, which is pretty outstanding for a guy priced at 6'8".
Yeah.
And that's with Davis in the team as well, so it can only go up, surely.
That's what we're led to believe.
we're hoping.
It always changes, doesn't it?
He will be the big man on campus tomorrow, for sure. So
Something you can never say you were, Damian.
Well, that's just not true. Alright, so, moving on. Alright, where are we? You've thrown me off with that one. Are there any more plays you like in this matchup?
We've covered a lot of them.
But
there could be a couple more. Let's have a quick look.
I don't think there's anyone
We
else.
quickly mentioned Norris Cole. What about your boy Alonzo G? He pumped out 22.5 for us last week when we backed him in at min price. Worth a look maybe if you want to go cheap at small forward, but other than that, he's not going to be locked into my team.
No.
Not one of my first selections, that's for sure.
Yeah, that was another one I wanted to throw out there. I did have him written down as sort of a bargain option, but that's more so if you're looking to save salary, and we don't feel like we're going to be in that position, so I don't think we
Well, I think if you guys are going to be playing Cousins, you'll absolutely be in that situation, which means Alonzo G or G. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's G, but yeah, he'll very much be in your teams, I think, if you're planning on getting Boogie in.
Yeah, it's a great pairing, I think.
Planning on getting Boogie Nights? Alright. So, do we like G over Gallo or George?
No, I don't think so.
Not at all.
I think that's locked for the rest of the day, I think.
Alright.
That's more for combo.
I don't think it really can be. If you want to play Boogie, look at that remaining salary.
We'll get to that when it comes.
This is what you guys
We
are
can
going to
fix it
find
up.
yourself in for with Boogie tomorrow.
John Wall downgrade, I think.
Yeah, but I don't know who to. Actually, there is a play that I like.
There is a couple
Get
plays.
to that. Alright, so let's move on to Memphis versus Milwaukee.
Alright, so the Grizzlies favoured by 5 points against the Bucks. Just want to say all these games are much closer than today's.
Makes it much more interesting.
We came into the Thursday slate a bit scared of the potential blowouts, but these are all very close. So the Grizzlies are only favoured by 5, over under a classic Grizzlies 195.
Yeah, just the grindhouse, as they call it. I don't particularly like anyone from Milwaukee in this game, which is strange because one of my favourite plays of recent times has been Chris Middleton. But I just don't like...
Very expensive right now.
Yeah. And his price went up. I think he was at 7.2 before the increase. But he's been unreal, which, even despite the matchup, kind of put him into consideration for me. But then when I look at Gallo and I look at Paul George, I just think there's too much bit of variety. Like, if you want to pay up, you pay up for George. If you want someone around Middleton's production, you take the 900 cheaper Danilo Gallinari. So yeah, no plays on the Milwaukee side of the ball?
Not on the Milwaukee side, I don't think. No one at all that really jumps out. I think there's a few on the Memphis side, maybe.
Yeah.
One of them would be Marcus Gasol.
Marcus Gasol is the first one that jumps out to me. The Bucks don't defend the center position very well, and Marcus Gasol is a bit of a unit.
A bit of a unit.
That's true.
He's a massive unit.
The former decoy probably does the term, I would say, a unit. The Bucks don't generally defend a lot of positions well, but I think you can count on a pretty solid outing from Marcus Gasol tomorrow. Where are we?
I think if you want also someone at a cheaper price, someone at a cheaper price on the small forward positions, Matt Barnes as well. I think.
Yeah.
It's nothing special, but if you're looking sort of for a $5,000 guy and you want someone that's going to get you 20, and you can be safe that he's going to get 20, I think that's Matt Barnes. nothing that doesn't jump out at me or anything. It's not
I
sensational.
like Jeff Green a little bit better. Jeff Green obviously coming off a 45.1.
Yeah, I've always been of the theory that Jeff Green tournament much better option, and then Matt Barnes just feels a lot safer. I mean, he doesn't really put up the 12s and the 13s and the 5 and the 14 there that Jeff Green's got.
Big upside also.
Yeah, much better upside to Green for sure.
He doesn't even have a flaw, this guy.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't be personally considering any of them tomorrow, but I think you make a good point about Barnes, but that's not the kind of player I want. Oh, there you go. But yeah, that's...
But besides from that, that's pretty
consistent
consistent.
That's not generally the kind of play I want for a 5K though, but to each their own. Do we get either of those in over Gallo and Paul George?
Not at all.
Not at all.
It's more so if we needed to lose 2K somewhere and you wanted a safe, reliable option. I've played him 2 or 3 times in the past and he gives you that safe 20-25 and it's never been an issue, so...
Yeah. Oh well, you guys still need to find your salary somewhere. We're leaving it till the last minute. So does that wrap up this match? It's a pretty standard matchup, nothing spectacular. Like on the men's side of the ball, if you want to play the matchup, but even then I don't trust a lot outside of Marcus Gasol. Alright, so moving on to Toronto versus the New York Knickerbockers.
Unreal. So the Raptors favoured by 9.5 against the Knicks, as expected. Possibly the bigger news here, Kyle Lowry is questionable for tomorrow.
If he doesn't play, does that make DeMar DeRozan an elite play?
I think so. That's a lot of ball handling duties, that's a lot of pick and rolls, that's a lot of scoring opportunities.
Didn't think of that, I was just thinking about Corey Joseph, so we'll talk about both of them.
I think
DeMar DeRozan is a guy, it's very rare, there's only a couple of select guys you can pay up for at shooting guard and get pretty decent results from. He's probably your guy tomorrow if you want to spend big at shooting guard, which is not something I normally do.
Yeah, there is another play that I will probably be backing in tomorrow, but I do like the DeMar DeRozan play if Kyle Lowry is out. If not, I'd probably avoid him, but obviously late news can change everything, and we don't have that news at hand right now.
Can I guess who this might be?
Jimmy Butler.
The better player.
Yeah.
Go for it.
From the Raptors?
No.
Jimmy Butler.
Sorry.
No, yeah.
I thought you had
we're talking about elite shooting guards here.
Sorry.
But yeah, DeMar DeRozan, I just don't think we can really trust him unless Kyle Lowry's out.
Yeah, I do like him without Lowry because he has really developed as a pick and roll ball handler. So I think that's a massive thing for if Lowry's not in. It means that he's going to be running the offense a lot more than he could have in the past. So without Lowry, I think that he really does jump into that elite status, like Jake said.
Yeah. One I want to put forth. Kristaps Porzingis. We know he's been excellent this year and he's been a great fantasy play at times. But do we trust him tomorrow in an awful matchup?
Melo's day to day, so doesn't seem like he's going to play. And I think that means good things for Porzingis and Lance Thomas, who I think was usually pretty good without Melo. So those two guys should get a bit of a look in. You maybe don't want to pay up for Kristaps Porzingis at 6'9" when he did put up 29 in the last game, but usually you probably would expect a 35 or a 40 from him without Melo in the lineup. So
do you trust him against this defense though? Best in the league against power forwards over the last 5, but still stingy on the year.
I think with the scores he's putting up and at his price, I wouldn't play him. But I would not be surprised at all if he put up a 40.
And I think he'll be widely owned. I think people will
see the Melo
due to the short slate and the Melo questionable tag. I think Kristaps could be in a few lineups tomorrow, but it will not be mine. Anyone else got anything they would like to add in on this game?
If you can just hold me for a second, I'll bring up something in about 1 minute for you. I'm going to bring up a very nice statistic.
I want to have a quick look at Lance Thomas while we're waiting.
Alright. So recently still at min price.
His last game, that was without Melo, and I think it was a 25. Yeah, that's a pretty good game, I think. And if he's going to put up similar production to that, with Melo not in the lineup, I mean, for 3,500, he's probably a better option than Alonzo G, I would say. We were talking about G before, and Lance Thomas in that last game.
So I don't really know much about the bloke.
I think
plays well without Melo.
If I was going to toss up between G and Thomas, I'd probably lean G, but you're right. Because the G one is affected by a lot of other outs, just like Lance Thomas is. But yeah, I think Lance Thomas is worth a look if the injury news on Melo is in the
Not playing.
negative situation. Yeah. So what was your play, Jake?
It's still loading up. I use some of my stats, and it's coming up now. So, one thing I noticed, it's up now. So let's talk about this. When I was watching the Knicks game the other day, I'm not sure if you watched the Knicks in the overtime game.
Don't think I caught it.
So that was the game without Carmelo Anthony, and for some reason the Knicks kept running plays to Aaron Aflalo, and it just wasn't working all game, right? And I was tweeting heavily my anger at the situation because Aaron Aflalo was getting plays run from him in the low post. It was kind of disgusting. He was missing everything. For the day, he shot 21 shots and made only 6 of them. And they kept continuing with him. And in my head, I was just thinking, why is this? Why are they running plays for him and not Kristaps? So I had to look into this, and Aflalo's usage rate takes a massive jump in the absence of Carmelo Anthony. Now, Aaron Aflalo is not a guy I normally play. With Carmelo Anthony, it's a pretty average 18.5 is a guy you not really recommend playing. Without Carmelo Anthony, his usage rate jumps up to 24.2. Now,
for a comparison,
lots more shots.
For a comparison, I'm pretty sure that's where Chris Bosh is minus Dwayne Wade.
Yep. So, for some reason, right, he is getting lots of the shots without Carmelo Anthony. I mean, I'm not, no disrespect to Aaron Aflalo when I say for some reason, but the way they kept spamming him for 21 shots when he wasn't falling everything. If he finds his shot tomorrow, he's on track for 30 plus, right?
I think the thing though is that they were throwing into him in the. I actually did catch some of this game early. They were throwing into him in the post a lot, and he was matched up against a bigger defender, and he's not used to that obviously. And you look at Toronto's situation; they've got DeMar DeRozan, James Johnson. If they're the guys sort of from the wing position that are guarding him, does he have another bad day again matched up against bigger defenders in the post? That's the issue.
Game, I think. But it's worth a look in a tournament because he gets plenty of shots. That's all I want to come out and say and put it on record. Because if he goes off tomorrow, it's one I've considered. I'm not going to run with him. But
there's a good chance he does because he's got some big scores in that line. There's a 44.4 there and a 38.4 there. And there'd be a really, I'd like to see it, but there'd be probably a very high chance that Carmelo Anthony didn't play in one of those big games.
And just for the sake of it, Toronto over the last 5, best at defending the shooting guard position.
Great defense, Toronto. They're just a great defense in general, Toronto.
So if you're Derek Fisher and you notice that they defend that spot well, you're not going to try and run plays for Aflalo tomorrow, are you? You wouldn't think so, right?
No.
So maybe Kristaps is back in play. Like big time.
Yeah.
Because who else is there to run plays for, honestly, for the Knicks right now?
No.
I feel like we've run around a lot and we've got to the conclusion really that maybe no one's a good player for the Knicks.
There's going to be someone.
There's going to have to be
I like talking like this because we can try and figure it out.
There's going to be someone that's going to have a big game. We just can't predict who.
No, it's one of those
for the Knicks, it's too risky of a call to make, I think. On the other hand, I do really like Kyle Lowry. Because
if he's playing,
Yeah, if he's playing. But that's the thing. This is one that we can't lock in until tomorrow. But if he's good to go, the Knicks aren't good enough to stop him at all, and he's got a ridiculous usage rate. I mean, I would be backing him in as my elite point guard at least over John Wall.
I'd run with him over John Wall.
Yep.
Yeah.
If he's playing.
And like you said about the point guard situation, that runs into DeMar DeRozan so much more again because he's the de facto point guard without Larry. So whoever's playing point guard for that team is a good option, I think.
Yep.
We'll get to the conclusion.
Exactly right.
So in that case, is the Corey Joseph play that you suggested earlier worth putting in, Jay?
Worth putting in. It's tough to tell. Who are the guys we've got right now? I'd probably take him over John Wall.
I would absolutely take him over
Another shooting guard I want to jump on, because we have got no shooting guard spots, and you're thinking about ways to save cash for the Boogie lineup. Terrence Ross, I think. Min Price can play some basketball, this guy. Damo loves him.
I don't love him. I actually quite hate him.
I remember the day we played him together on Moneyball, and I could hear Damian shouting. Loving it.
We backed him in one day on Moneyball, and he had a ripper game. But as a player, I hate him. He's grossly overpaid. He's relatively one-dimensional. I don't like.
So what's his contract actually? Because look at it.
3 years, $33 million.
Ugh,
gross.
Yeah, he's such a bad contract.
So bad.
Steph Curry's getting like
makes you
not
wonder.
much more than 11 mil.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, but that was a great sign. We could talk about it all day. What a great sign that was. Took advantage of him coming off an injury. So
yeah,
that
and
was so smart.
Granted, he wasn't a superstar then, and the salary cap wasn't a year away from going through the roof. But yeah, that looks like the steal of the century now.
Oh, it does.
So Terrence Ross, are you backing him in at all. Because
Yeah,
once
I do.
again, this is all on you two. You're the one trying to find the boogie
No,
lineup.
of course. So
And,
Terence Ross is pretty much in play tomorrow. He's averaged 20 points over his last 5, so at min price, it's pretty good
We
return.
haven't got any shooting guards in there at the moment, I don't believe, so I
Yeah.
feel like we put him in there at least for now.
20 points over his last 5, but only over 20 twice in those.
That's alright.
That's the last two though.
That's the
last
law
two,
of
though.
averages for you. But yeah, if you want me to chuck him in, I will.
Why
I
not?
know my shooting guard place, so this one is on you. Alright, that just about wraps it up for that matchup, I think. And on to the last one. It is the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Chicago Bulls. And
I said
while
Chicago
yeah,
Bulls for a
and
second.
while Jake gets up the odds, I will just find a little.
We just had a
summary.
tweet in
Yeah, I was
from
about to get it up.
Brent. Oh, you brought it up, lovely.
Oh.
So we've got 2. We'll cover both of them. We've got our boy fan of internet tweeting at us as well.
Yeah, we'll chuck
we're
that one up on
about
the
to get
screen
on
real
to
quick.
that one. What was the score, did you say, for our lineup for today?
290.9.
Yeah, and the cash line was 260 something.
265.
So we cashed fairly easily with our lineup, which is good to see. Hope some of you guys got around it.
Yeah, so this one, we got this tweet in from M. Smith, aka fan of internet, asking, should Derrick Rose get a look if he plays tomorrow?
It's a great question.
And I say absolutely. He's in my preliminary lineup. Obviously, it's pending news on whether he will play. But yeah, I think he's worth a look, and he's in my lineup.
And
Do you have anything on
He's
this?
probable,
Yep.
which usually means good things. Usually if he's not going to play, it's doubtful or questionable,
That's
but
true.
probable usually means sort of, an 85% chance of playing, which is a good sign. But if he doesn't get up, and maybe even if he does get up because Kirk Heinrich is out, I do like, Aaron Brooks. So
Yeah.
that's another option at the point guard for Chicago.
Yeah, min price, I think if Derrick Rose can't go, then Aaron Brooks will be everywhere, and rightfully so, because, look at what he did the last game.
He
6
takes
assists,
a lot of
2
shots
rebounds.
as well.
He's a chucker. And I do like him tomorrow if Rose sits, but if Rose plays, I really like Rose, because if we look at on the season, the Lakers just haven't been great against point guards. And yeah, it really works in our favour. Tomorrow we have a good mid-range point guard in Derrick Rose, but if he can't go, we have a great cheapy point guard in Aaron Brooks. So I think regardless, there will be a lot of Chicago Bulls point guards in lineups.
And Derrick
tomorrow.
Rose was playing some sensational basketball before he went down.
Spot on.
And he just seemed to have that confidence back in himself, and he was attacking the rim, and we saw some really nice crossovers, and he did a really good one on Bogut, and that kind of thing sort of gives him that confidence, which makes him play as well. And if he comes back with that mindset, I think he'll have another big game against the Lakers, who aren't very good against point guards.
Yeah, I think he's basically a lot. Any thoughts on the situation?
No, I think for that salary, he's a great buy.
Yeah.
That's all it comes down to. He's at a very good price right now.
Yeah, so to answer your question, at fan of internet, is Derrick Rose in play if he's good to go? Absolutely.
Seems like he might be in over John Wall.
Yep, I think so. Should
I
we
think
chuck
that's a
him in now?
great decision.
Yep. There's a little bit more salary for your boogie. A little bit more.
Plenty of salary.
So, before we start looking around for other ways for you to find your salary, I will throw out my other elite player of the day, which is Jimmy
I
Butler.
knew it.
Yeah, I thought you might know it.
The issue is I want to play Jimmy Butler as well, so where's
Yeah,
my salary
you might
coming
be in a
from?
bit of strife here. As we see, he's been a little bit slow recently. But, there's this one game that just sticks out like a sore thumb, this 76. And Derrick Rose sat for that one, granted so did Pau Gasol and Joakim Noah. But when Jimmy, Jimmy should be the alpha dog anyway, but when he, straight up is unquestionably the alpha dog, he's excellent. There's no other word to describe him. And in a matchup where last 5, Los Angeles are giving up more than any other team to the shooting guard position, Jimmy will be in my lineup tomorrow. And he's such a good all-rounder that he will get his points.
Not quite, was it Mushroom that you call Paul Millsap?
Mushroom is Paul Millsap, the great all-rounder.
Not quite a Mushroom, but he's close.
Yeah, he's very close.
Alright, so I've brought up a bit of a stat for you, Dan. You're going to love this one. It's Jimmy Butler's usage rate with and without Derrick Rose this season. So he's had 6 games without Derrick Rose, and his usage rate is 31.4.
Locking in.
So-
Derrick doesn't play.
And the 38 games with Derrick Rose in the team, his usage rate is a very poor 23.8. So that's a nearly a jump of 10.
That's
it's 8.
bigger jump than Aaron Aflalo.
It is a big jump. You're paying the money for it here, but I think you get your return.
It's a nice little backcourt with Aaron Brooks and Jimmy Butler if Derrick Rose doesn't play. I
a
think.
lot of variety there for sure.
Well, even better, right? Let's have a look at his average points with and without Derrick Rose right now as well. Just take me 1 second.
I have a feeling that this will be very...
While we're on that, maybe another one that I think is really good against the Lakers, who I don't think are very good at the centre position. I think they're one of the worst. Pau Gasol starting at centre. He's a great option.
Tasty.
Excellent. And he's a power forward, which is really good because we don't have to get rid of Corley Stein there. And if we're going to downgrade from Cousins,
have to get rid of either Cousins.
I was going to say if we need to downgrade from Cousins, I think that Pau Gasol could put up some really good numbers. I think
it's so consistent.
It's 45 to 50, I think, for Pau, and it might be 10 or so less than what Cousins is going to get, but that's not bad for an extra 1,600 in salary.
Look at these numbers. What year is it?
Yeah.
A dude this age should not be putting up these numbers. Yet he does it so consistently. 57.9, 50.7. He's got to be one of the best old guys in the game, without question.
And for some reason, he's always under the radar.
Yeah.
You don't hear much about him at all?
That's because he shares a position with Boogie, probably. And when you go elite, I mean, you try to go Boogie, as evidenced by your efforts.
Not even in fantasy talk, in NBA talk.
Okay.
Barely hear a word about Pau Gasol. It's pretty sad, actually.
Low-key had him like a top 25 season.
I think last year, though, the numbers were very empty, and if you looked at lineups, the Bulls were a little bit better without him. This year, I feel like that's not quite the case because he's not sharing the floor with Noah as much, and when he's got a stretch four or a guy like Taj Gibson, he's a lot better than he is with Noah on the floor because his defensive issues are... He's a lot better at centre playing defence than he is at power forward, let's just say that. So that's why he's been much better this season.
Probably got some of the slowest speed in the NBA.
Yeah.
Alright, so we do like Pau Gasol. We'll keep that one in mind. And just as a heads up, right now, with this current lineup, if we did go down from Cousins to Gasol,
it
would fit with 100
tasty.
to spare. So that one's an option. Any other plays in this game that we like, though?
So I just got a tweet in. I'll answer that one at the end for you. Just going to have a quick look at tomorrow. What's your thoughts on Julius Randle?
Another one that I was going to suggest. I like Julius Randle. I'm not sure what the matchup looks like. I would assume with Taj Gibson there, it's going to be a difficult one for Randle. But I really like this guy. He's a young kid. He's got a lot of hustle. Works really hard. Can run a fast break and can grab a rebound. So I think that his opportunities are always going to be there just from the energy he gives.
As far as the last 5 games go, Chicago Bulls, second worst in the league against power forwards.
There you go.
And giving up a lot of assists, which isn't something Julius is too bad at.
He's actually pretty good at that because, like I said, he gets the rebounds and he runs a fast break, which is where he gets his assists.
They actually love him bringing the ball up the court on the fast breaks. And it's awesome to watch. I love seeing those big guys like
that's why
Charles Barkley back in his prime.
That's why I love Draymond Green so much, and Julius Randle's got a bit of that about him, I think.
Yeah.
Not quite that.
The tough thing with this selection with Julius Randle is because it looks like with power forward tomorrow, you'll have to go one big, one small in salary. And I think he's just a bit worse than Anderson.
Yeah,
and it's going to be tough to get him in the team, and it's really sad not to be able to run with him tomorrow. But if you're looking for a point of difference, I reckon jump on.
Just look at that. Thing the last game they played was 34.2, and I played him that day, and he was 2.3% owned. So, like you said, point of difference, and to return better than 6 times value or whatever it was. Yeah, that's a really good play.
Yeah, spot on. So I think that probably wraps this matchup. I mean, because no one's really going to trust too many people on the later side of the ball. And we've discussed the elite Jimmy Butler, which I think we may have to change here if you guys are going to...
I think we've actually got our team perfect except for DeMarcus Cousins down at Pau Gasol. I think that's the money factor there.
Locking that one in!
That's the exact right amount of money, which is what I'm looking at.
Singing a different tune. Yeah, the fact that it does line up so easily...
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and it's almost a no-brainer. It's as much of as close to a no-brainer as you can get in daily fantasy.
But can we put out this lineup with Derrick Rose game time decision in there? It's a little bit
iffy. That's a big question.
I wouldn't mind making a little change with Rose and Ross because they're two that I'm not that comfortable with.
So if you can downgrade Rose and upgrade Ross, I'm not sure what kind of shooting guards are in that kind of area.
It depends. If you like Aaron Brooks, regardless of if Derrick Rose goes,
I don't like him that much regardless.
Yeah, not that much of a play. So let's have.
You also got Corey Joseph to go down to a point guard.
Yeah,
which is also pending though. Yeah, these are all issues that we're having right now with the
it's a shocking
game
one
time
tomorrow
decisions.
for the game time decisions. But let's just throw him in. I do remember the point where Corey Joseph was putting up excellent numbers as a backup because they were playing a lot of small ball with Kyle Lowry, Corey Joseph, and DeMar DeRozan at the 1-2-3.
I was I was listening to a podcast and they was talking about that, and they said that Corey Joseph was playing, I don't know, it was 10 or 11 minutes in the fourth quarter, so they obviously trust him, and he's a guy that they like, and he has a fairly high usage rate for a backup point guard, so that's pretty impressive.
So in the way of shooting guard, just the most natural fit there is Kent Bazemore or Bradley Beal. How do you like Bradley Beal? He's another game time.
Oh, can't get Will Barton?
Can't quite get Will. And don't forget that there were 2 small forward options that you liked at minimum price. There was Alonzo G and who was the other one?
We liked Otto Porter.
Yeah. But there Lance
Thomas.
Lancey.
So
yeah, this one's on you guys here.
I reckon you go back to the Rose and
you like Rose?
Ross and keep it this for a second and see if we can work something else out. It's a tough look tomorrow because
the game time decisions will change everything tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I think that our front court, so small forward, power forward, centre, they all look pretty set. Maybe some mixing of the guards. I like our front court.
Yeah,
All
of course, it makes
great.
sense. If Rose is up and about tomorrow, that seems. Well, but then it takes away from Jimmy Butler a little bit, doesn't it? Really, that was the value.
Not too much.
He was on the questionable side of the tag, right? No, Derrick Rose is actually probable, not even questionable. So
let's put him in there.
I like him.
Let's play it. Yeah, we did say I went through the whole probable, questionable, doubtful thing, and I said 85%. So
I haven't put probable closer to 90%. It's like if I was to count the times I've been screwed over by a probable call being out.
One this year. Who was that?
There was one, and that's it. There was actually only one. Probable is generally.
We like it.
I like Derrick Rose. Yep.
Yeah, to me the only issue is that it takes away from Butler, and I'm paying up for Butler, but I'm happy to run with that because it fits in the salary, and they're all.
So do you like the idea of going down from Butler to go back up to?
If you can. See, that makes. But Pau Gasol's a great play.
Yeah, I don't love Giannis tomorrow.
Didn't even look at him.
I don't love him tomorrow, but
no, I don't like him.
He's been so like good at times.
Yeah.
Young plays.
I think he's another one of those ones that's just perfectly priced. That's
Will Barton's there, Jake.
I would like to upgrade Terrence Ross.
Will Barton's there.
I'd like to upgrade Terrence.
So it looks, the shooting guard position looks really difficult tomorrow.
Yeah.
If Rose doesn't play.
I wish we had.
If Rose does
again.
play. Sorry.
I wish we had Hood and Bradley again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well, mate.
Hood and Bradley are the 2 easiest picks in daily fantasy right now, you'd have to say.
Zach Levine also working his way into there with Kevin Martin out as well.
Yeah, but he's like in an injury situation.
What about Aflalo? 4-9. Maybe he fit with the one we had before. We went cheap at point guard.
I think the usage rate situation you mentioned, makes him definitely worth a look. I mean, 24, that's a big usage rate.
So close to DeMar DeRozan there.
Yeah.
So what was it? Was it Rose down and then up to Jimmy, was it?
Rose down to
Joseph.
Corey. That one will work. So obviously I'm still comfortable with Jimmy regardless of if Rose plays.
I am as well.
Getting a look. Here we go. So that could be my lineup with Rose. I'm leaning a little bit on that side. You guys aren't too worried about it, but I am a little bit, just because the amount I'm paying for him. That's all. Yeah. But I like that.
I like that lineup as well. It's a nice lineup.
It doesn't seem as chalky as some of our normal ones.
No, it doesn't actually. I feel like this whole day tomorrow is not going to be quite as chalky.
Yes. No, that's the nature of a 6-game slate.
It's going to be an interesting tournament day.
Yeah, with when there's such a small slate, there actually are right and wrong answers. Like if it's a 10-game slate, there's like often 2 or 3 that are right and same with wrong. But with this, it's almost a head-to-head. So it's always going to be tough. And the worst thing is the tip-off for the Bulls-Lakers game. It's 2:30, and that's just the perils of playing in the West. Like, if this was a Chicago home game, it'd be a 11:30 tip-off, and we'd know. But I think the probable tag is enough to consider Derrick Rose a yes, play him. But Yeah.
So we got some tweets coming in. Should we move on to answer some of these questions?
Yeah, let's do it. They might even be able to shed some light on the situation.
We're going to jump down to M. Smith, our fan of internet, with this question about Gary Harris. I know Damo watched a bit of the Nuggets game.
He was actually outstanding today. He was really good. And at his price, I think he's worth a look. Especially if you are of the anti-Jimmy Butler persuasion.
4.6, not bad.
Yeah, so
he's a guy that puts up a lot of different stats. He really fills the stat sheet. Pretty reliable when you see guys that do that, I think.
In general, he's known for
form.
in general, he's known as a pickpocket. He's a really good stealer. Not even a great defender. He just steals the ball. It's not a lockdown player. He just steals the ball, which is good for fantasy. You don't have to shut a guy down. You just have to take the ball.
Don't get points for that.
Yeah, take the ball away from him. And so I don't really love him as a play, but that's just personal opinion. He is certainly in play.
I did like him. I played him a few times when he was at that 3.5, 3.8 bracket, but just that extra $800,000.
And I mean, the Denver coaches haven't figured it out yet, but Randy Foy should be getting absolutely 0 minutes of playing time.
He's got one of the worst PRs in the league. It's like 6.
Dreadful.
Yeah.
Every time he gets the ball, and I'm watching a Nuggets game, I just look at my phone, look at my computer, whatever I'm doing, because he's dreadful. So if Nuggets fans had their way, Gary Harris would be playing non-stop, basically.
I'm looking at this, I don't mind it at all, because I'm looking a little bit deeper into Gary Harris. He's had over 31 minutes in his last 3 games.
Yeah.
And he's getting more minutes. I didn't know it was that much. That is a very good amount.
I mean, 29.8, 23.5 and 25.4 are excellent scores.
For a 4.6, yeah, very much so. As to answer the tweet, should he get a look? Yes, he should. But once again, that's going to come down to salary management because it depends who you're paying up for. If it's the shooting guard, he probably doesn't get in. Do you think he's worth a look over Aflalo if Melo's out?
I think Aflalo has the bigger upside, but Gary Harris is also a very safe play, I think. So once again, we're going to come back to the double up and tournament sort of strategy. If you're in a double up, I would run with Harris. Tournament, Aflalo a little bit more suited because he can put up a 40 tomorrow, I think, Aflalo, if his shots land.
If he's
should be safe both ways, though.
If he's taking those 21 shots again, he's an excellent tournament play. So Gary Harris, double up, Aaron Aflalo, tournament.
Yep.
What else
Happy
do we
with
have
that.
here?
So this is a very interesting question for us guys because we love our DFS. So Brent, username Brent Bray T.
Yeah, not going to have a crack at that soon.
Brayton
Bark. Yeah, what are some handy projection sites to use for an NBA noob or anyone for that matter? Slate reading noob here.
Firstly, I'd say go onto the Moneyball locker room and check out Tachyon's using the Vegas odds to your advantage. That's a great read.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for the tip.
That'll help you explain how to read sort of overs and unders and lines and whatnot. That's a good one. And you can obviously find them on any sort of bookmaking site.
Yep.
And as far as projections go, like Jake said, he uses StatMuse. It's one of your favourites. I mean, I think we all use the Roto Wire defense versus position.
Yeah, this one here that's being shown up here at the top of the screen, it basically tells you who's good against what position, who's bad against what position, and it should definitely be bookmarked if you're going to be playing NBA Moneyball. It can give you so much more insight, like whether or not to play someone.
There's not really a lot more you need outside of that.
I like Roto World a lot. So if you're not familiar with Roto World, check that out. They do their daily updates and all that kind of thing. Also, player updates nearly every day. For every player, you can read a little bit of a blurb of how they went. You can see all their stats and absolutely everything you need to know about a player on Roto World. That is.
And then once you're looking at those, you start forming your own projections. I think like when you know the matchups and their form. And their styles, like what they do to get their points, then you start kind of figuring it out yourself. And it's certainly worth a look to check out those ones though.
And I think Jake uses StatMuse to sort of do, if you want to find out how someone fares against a particular team, you usually use StatMuse, don't you? But that's one you have to have an account for. I just use Basketball Reference, and if you go into splits, you go into the season you want to look at this season or last season, and then you can see how each team fares and what their averages are against certain teams. So I like to use that one because matchups are obviously important, but certain players do like playing against different teams. Like I said, Boogie has big games against the Pelicans, and Julius Randle in his career so far has had big games against Dallas, and that's why I played him yesterday. So that's one way I look at it as well.
Yeah. So any other thoughts on that one?
No, I think
we have another tweet here that we'll just chuck up
Yeah,
real
we'll
quick.
get into the next tweet.
Because there is another thought on this next tweet that M. Smith has put forward.
Yep.
And I want your opinion on it, really. So he's sent in this lineup that's about to come up on the screen here. And he sent it in, asking for our opinion. Moutier, Drew Holiday, Gary Harris, DeMar DeRozan, Gallinari, Alonzo G, DeMarcus Cousins, Pau Gasol, Willie Cauley-Stein. I like that lineup.
I like that lineup a lot, actually.
Yeah, but then he sent in the question, which I want to get your opinion on, or the suggestion that I want to get your opinion on. He has said, let me quickly get it up here. 3 Nuggets. Do you think that 3 players from the same team is an issue, and should you avoid it?
It's tough because it's 6 games only, so you're going to have that somewhere, I think. It's almost impossible to avoid. I mean, if you're really strict about it, some people are a bit a bit questionable about doing that themselves, but I don't mind it. If the game was projected to be a blowout, if the line was 10 points or over, I'd be really worried because I wouldn't want the Nuggets players getting blown out and having too much exposure to the one game. But the game's expected to be relatively close for a Nuggets away game.
Yeah, and I think one of the ways I look at this, if this was 3 players from the same team, and I will use an example here, but let's say 2 of them are elite and the other one not so much, so a situation would be Derrick Rose, Jimmy Butler and Pau Gasol.
Yep.
I wouldn't do that if there's 2 big dogs there. But if 2 of them, like here, Emmanuel Moutier and Gary Harris are value plays, I don't have too much of a problem with that at all.
No, either do I.
And with the 3 from the Nuggets, I would play 4 or 5 players from the Sacramento New Orleans Pelicans game tomorrow. So, and probably 3 of them would definitely have to come from Sacramento. So I don't mind the 3 players, especially like you said, cheaper options.
Yeah.
When you're playing Boogie and Willie Cauley-Stein, you might as well be playing one guy anyway.
So like playing Emmanuel Moutier, Danilo Gallinari and Gary Harris isn't the same as playing DeMarcus Cousins, Rajon Rondo and Rudy Gay.
Not at all.
When he's there's a difference to the players, and I think this Nuggets one is kind of fine. I wouldn't be against that.
In particular, when we look past the salary even a little bit more, and also the sort of role they play. Gallinari, obviously the scorer of the team. If you had 2 big scorers going at it, I mean, outside of Russell Westbrook and KD, they can combine at the same time pretty well. But Gallinari's scoring is not going to take away the fantasy points of Gary Harris.
Nope.
And we all know Moutier is not a great shooter either.
He's
so
dreadful.
I think these 3 in particular work really well together. I wouldn't stress about that at all.
Yeah. So yeah, to follow up on those tweets, we do like that lineup. We actually like it a lot.
That is a nice one.
The one issue I think for me is that it's missing sort of the chalk player of the day, Ryan Anderson.
Yeah,
that's the only issue.
I don't
mind it. I do
right?
like the power forward situation, so I'm not going to
if you've
complain
got
about
2
it.
elites.
No, so it's a bit sneaky, isn't it? Because a lot of people are going to be playing Ryan Anderson tomorrow. We mentioned foul trouble. If he gets in foul trouble, you're laughing there. And also another thing, Ryan Anderson only averages 2 fantasy points more with Anthony Davis out of the team. So it's not
That's
like a
crazy,
whole completely lock him in or anything like that. It's only 2 more for this season.
Yeah, okay.
It's nothing that exciting, I think.
So with Ryan Anderson, what are the chances that we have an Avery Bradley situation on our hands from today? I think he was 53% played, and since he went so well, if you didn't play him, you lost, basically. Chances we get that with Ryan Anderson tomorrow. He'll have to go for a 40 or so, but do we see it happening?
I think it can. I think you go for 25 and 10 easily.
Yep.
I'm on the other side of the boat here, guys, I think.
Really?
I'm the one that might not be playing him tomorrow. I've done a little bit more research live on the show, so it's good to see. Ryan Anderson's usage rate goes down by 3% without Anthony Davis.
What about last
I think
season?
that's where Drew comes in. But
Yeah, exactly right. So those other guys, the value picks that we mentioned before, Drew Detective, also Tyreek Evans if he plays, not bad at all. They're the guys that I'll be targeting. It's amazing to see that his usage rate drops to 21.9. Still not bad, but that's without Anthony Davis.
I think that's still a very reasonable usage rate. Especially,
The one
I'm
thing
more
that,
surprised that his regular usage rate is 24.
The one thing that I'll say about that though is because usage rate factors in how many percentage of the touches you have while you're on the court, And the reason it might be lower, it wouldn't necessarily mean less shots. Maybe check out field goal attempts because he could be on the court for 10-15 minutes longer, which is why that usage rate actually looks lower, but he could be taking 5 or 6 more shots. So can you check field goal attempts?
I think usage rate is the final touch as well. So
Yeah.
it's not actual touches, it's final
and it's
touch.
while you're on the court as well. So
and have a look at average field goal attempts.
because it's how many possessions you finish while you're on the court. So if you're playing more minutes and you're getting a couple more shots up, it might not look like you're doing more, but you're actually out there longer, so you are.
True, so the field goal attempts go up by 3
Yeah.
without him. So that's not bad. And if he makes, let's put it at 50%, it's an extra, and he lands a 3, you're an extra 3 fantasy points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it worked out to be, actually, around the 2 to 3. So
Yeah.
All right.
not bad. I
think we do like Ian Smith's lineup there.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I do. Once again, from yesterday, he
Help
threw a
us
spanner
out.
in the works, and
Yeah.
it did help us out a lot. So it's good to have that extra perspective. I like
Love
the
the
lineup
interaction.
being sent in.
So we didn't even finish this lineup. We had 5-3 salary remaining. So where were we?
I think we
spending?
downgraded Jimmy Butler to Gary Harris. That's where it
Yeah.
went.
And
So-
are we happy with that?
I'm happy to go back to Jimmy.
Yeah, I'm happy to go back to Jimmy.
I do like the Gary Harris.
do like
play.
Harris
It's got
as well.
me into it, but Jimmy, especially if Gary doesn't go.
I've been talked into it myself as well.
Okay then, go from Jimmy Butler to
Oh.
gives you to Gary Harris, and then we can just chuck Boogie Cousins in there.
Oh.
You get your boogie in.
We could do that for
over
Anderson, couldn't we? No?
not quite.
Not
You're
quite.
400
Jeez, is there
short.
anyone else he could take down a little bit? No, not quite.
We could go from Gasol to Boogie and then go from Joseph to Rose and just assume that Rose is playing because he's probable.
So this is the Rose lineup, and it's got no Butler. I like this one.
All right. Oh no, this. Yeah.
I like that lineup. It's a little bit of salary.
A bit of
A lot
extra cash,
salary.
but there wasn't
Not sure
many
where I'd
shooting
spend it.
guards around the 5K mark that I like.
We're looking at the 6K mark
Still.
with the Flalo
Yeah.
upgrade. Do we
Tough
have any
balance
shoot-
against the last one, isn't it?
Do we have any shooting guard options around 6K? Do we have Will Barton maybe? Is that an
Will
interesting
Barton
one?
at 5'8". That brings us back up to 3 nuggets. if you were for or against
That's
that
true.
one, but yeah. There's not a whole lot there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a tough one. It's the
It's tough.
classic 6.
Wish we had them both head to head now, so I can analyse it. But it was Pau Gasol versus Cousins, Rose versus Corey Joseph,
Yep.
and Butler versus Gary Harris.
Well, I think you probably
I
give...
think I'm going back to the other one.
You give Butler 20 points more, you give Rose 5 points more maybe, and then you give DeMarcus Cousins maybe 10 more, so I feel like we're losing out with this one. I feel like we're losing
I
5
feel
to 10 points.
Yeah, I'm happy to switch back now. I've seen it. Sorry for the confusion, but this is what it's all about. And it's still early. This will be all changed in the morning when there's late injury news. Don't worry about that.
If Derrick Rose is out, then Jimmy Butler's automatic. If not, then we probably stick with where we are. So, alright, run me down what it should be looking like right now.
I think we want Joseph.
Joseph in. Alright. Where are we? Corey Joseph. And what was the other one? Up to Butler, was it?
Can we go up to Butler instead of a Flalo, or do we like...
We've
do we like
been
Harris
talking
or
to Harris a
Flalo?
lot, haven't we?
We have been
Ourselves
talking to Harris.
talking into him.
Where are we losing
I like
all the
that,
salary now?
but
because we went up to Boogie. So
Yeah,
did we want
Boogie.
Gasol or Boogie?
I think we want Gasol for this
Gasol.
one, just to
Alright.
make things work for us.
And then,
Plenty of
was
cap.
this Jimmy?
Yeah.
So now there's 900 left, which came from
Can
300
be a
between
Flalo.
300
Yeah.
between.
So it depends if you're like now, just I guess decision between a Flalo and Harris.
I think a Flalo.
I feel
I
like
think-
I actually feel like Flalo's a better play.
with
I'll
Melo
flip
out,
back to
Flalo was
Flalo.
to play there. It's kind of sad because Gary Harris is performing quite well, and I wish I
Yeah,
could
he
have them
has.
both in.
Yeah, I'd love to see either or, but I'm gonna try and get the latest on Melo.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know, man. So many questionables, and the awful timing of the games tomorrow could throw a big spanner in the work. Travel. He's expected to travel with them, Carmelo Anthony.
Are they on a road trip though? Because if they're on a road trip, then he could miss the first one and
Toronto.
play the second.
Yeah, questionable. It's looking like.
Oh, another thing, Derek Williams without Carmelo Anthony's been pretty impressive too.
Been excellent.
I'm going to look that one up quickly so we can have a quick chat about that.
Too expensive for me. Already looking at it. Oh, there's some good games though.
Yep.
he has some big games. If you can time a big game, if he's so average FanDuel without Carmelo is 27.6.
That's huge.
That's about 5 times value, or a little bit over.
I don't personally like him just because of the other power forward plays of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's too many other. I like the going elite with both the big guys and power forward.
I like that one.
As fan of Vincent has done, could be a unique one tomorrow.
Yeah. The Ryan Anderson fade is the unique pick of the day. That's being contrarian tomorrow is not playing Ryan Anderson. And I will not be doing that. But you guys...
I'm very heavily considering it, to be honest. I like the Solon Boogie so
Hopefully
much.
I don't want to talk you into it, but yeah, I'm not going to be playing him tomorrow, I think.
Ando, alright. Goodbye.
No. Keep him
Enough
in
of this, I mean...
Yeah, keep him. I like him in this team. Because he fit with this team really well.
Yeah, I have to... I think that we'll probably I think we just go off Lilo, and I think that's done.
A follow from Harris?
Yep.
And I like that lineup. I'm happy with that.
We spent a lot of time in this lineup fixing it up for once. Normally, with
usually
a 10-game slate, you can
easier.
get all the value in and it all stacks together perfectly. But this one, I feel like it's come together okay. It's just a couple of the awkward prices.
It's so dependent on late news.
Yep.
Corey Joseph, if Kyle Lowry doesn't play, is he worth a look? No. So that's
not too bad.
Like if Kyle does play, then Corey's not worth a look. Corey's been very average.
And I still really like DeRozan if Lowry doesn't play. So
you don't want to cop one of them.
I mean, with Lowry and Derrick Rose, I feel like Brooks and Butler, and if Derrick doesn't play, I think they're good. And I think that if Lowry doesn't play, DeRozan and Corey Joseph are good play. So
yeah.
if one of them's out and the other one's playing, I think that's the way I'll go with it. That's about all we can go until tomorrow. I think that's.
Yeah.
I think that's what we do. So keep an eye on our Twitter tomorrow, and we'll try and keep it updated in line with some of the more significant injury news and some of the impacts that could have on your team.
Yeah, I think we can almost guarantee Rose will play though. That's the.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is our lineup, but it's certainly one you want to stay tuned for news on, for sure. Because I mean, Kyle Lowry playing could torpedo Corey Joseph for sure. So we'll lock that in. Before we go, we will mention the usual over under. We'll be running a $2 tournament on Moneyball. Jump in.
Live already.
It's live already.
Better get into it today.
Jump in
Tomorrow.
and have a ping. And we hope to see you in there. And we hope today you had a great performance from your Moneyball teams. Hope you got some tips from us because our lineup went pretty well in the end. We hope you find the same from tomorrow. Anything you want to say before we leave?
No, I mean, if you're enjoying our streams and all of that kind of stuff, make sure you do follow us on Twitter and also give us a subscribe on YouTube as well, which is pretty handy to do so.
No worries.
Yeah,
Anything to add?
we love the Twitter interaction, so if you can, keep it up or start doing it. It's really fun.
Yeah,
And
it's great.
it actually helps us, like we're saying from M. Smith, fan of internet.
He's been great.
He's helped us with our last 2 lineups, I think, and it's been really good to interact with some guys.
Yeah, open our eyes to Gary Harris, which was a very good pick for tomorrow, I think. And that lineup's pretty tasty.
Yep.
Yep, I like it. Alright then, so I've been Damian Kurowski, aka DM Kurowski. This is Jake Nichols, aka Tachyon. Trent Arnold, aka TrentArnoldNBA.com. We hope you've had a good time watching our stream, and we hope to see you again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Always love.